Hi, you guys. My name is Nick Rocz, for those of you that might not know. I'm from New York City. That's where I live, but I used to live in Los Angeles for a very long time, and I used to perform all over the world, all right, doing all kinds of things. That was a real quick cap on who I am, just in case you walked into the room and went, who's this guy? Watch the first video. That'll give you a bigger introduction. All right. So we were just talking about, in our video before, ways to put together a show as a director. All right. Like I said in the other video, once you get all those rehearsals and things done, you're pretty much in a good spot. But remember, and I'm going to start this video the same thing that I talked about in the last one. Remember, we're telling a story. Everything that you do has to be justified from the script that you have in front of you. It's the only way that it will really work. All right? Justify the story. It's all in the script. All the answers are right there. If you try something and you think, I think a pigeon should fly across the sky, you got to look at the script and you got to ask yourself, would a pigeon really fly across the sky at that point? If the answer is yes, go nuts. If the answer is no, meaning like, say you're doing a show and you're in the middle of a desert and there would be no pigeons because they would be dead out in the desert somewhere, some lizard's eating them or something, well, then you can't have a pigeon. You might have a lizard, but you wouldn't have a pigeon. So you always want to go back to your work and make sure, you know what I mean, that it's justified. Some things that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about how to create your piece if you're doing it from scratch. Some of you are going to be out there creating these pieces and are thinking to yourself, okay, well, that's all well and good in the video before on how to do it, but what do I do if I'm creating a piece? Okay, well, if you are a writer and a director, you're in a very special position because as a director, you kind of have the freedom to change some things. You could write something down and then hear somebody say it and go, I don't like how that sounds. Well, if you're the writer and the director, you have the freedom to make those choices, to change the line. However, if you are a director and somebody else is the writer, you have to tell the story that's on the page. If you have a problem with a line or something doesn't sound right, you don't just get to change it to make it sound better for you. What you should do, especially if you're able to, is contact the writer. Talk to them about what it is that they were trying to say in making that scene, and maybe it will make more sense, right? It might answer some of those questions. If you don't have access to the writer and you still don't love it, look, all rules are meant to be broken. However, you should have, the video before we talked about having a good team, a stage manager, a music director, a choreographer, if you're doing a musical. If you're doing a play, stage manager is really good, maybe an assistant director, so that you've got some support. Run it by those people that you trust, right? Talk to them and say, does this sound right to you? It doesn't sound right to me. You can also reach out to people that you know around you who might have more experience at the theater than you. Right? The people who are running this camp would be great resources to say, hey, this is how this sounds, and I'm just not sure, right? Maybe you're having a question about the script. Maybe you didn't write it, but the writer is there, and you know that it's going to be tense. Excuse me. Maybe you know it's going to be tense, and you think, oh my gosh, I don't want to have a fight. Well, here's my tip for avoiding fights in the theater. One, it's not about you. It's about them, okay? If I want to not have a fight with somebody that I know is going to be defensive, meaning they're going to defend their point of view staunchly, I don't go in and tell them that I don't like it. I ask questions to help me understand. So now the problem isn't with the script. The problem is with me, the director. Hey, I'm having a problem with this. I don't think I'm really understanding this. You wrote this beautiful story and I get all this, but this one line here, can you explain it to me? Right? Oh, they might read through and you might find even with the writer, they don't understand it either and they think, if you get any indication that maybe they are struggling as well or looking for some help, that would be an appropriate time to say, do you mind, ask first, do you mind if I give you a suggestion on this line? Because we've been rehearsing it and it never has quite sounded the way all your other characters do. You're able to use their own writing to justify the question, right? Because it's not about you. It's about their writing. It's about those things. The reason that I say put the blame on yourself, make it about you in that instance, is then you're not attacking somebody. Then what you're doing is you're offering yourself as sort of the sacrificial lamb. I must not understand. I must not get it. Help me. That phrase, help me, gangbusters. If you ever need help in a show, don't yell to people around, why isn't anybody giving me a hand? Go up to somebody and say, hey, can you help me? I really need this done, and I'm not able to do it on my own. Can you help me do it? If you ask somebody to help you, you are 9 times out of 10 going to get help. Now, of course, sometimes the other person just can't, right? Sometimes they think, I don't have time, or I'm literally holding something else and I'm not able to do that for you. All of those things can happen. But if you can, ask them for help and see what a difference it makes, right? You'll notice your teachers probably do that as well. Some of them probably yell, but there's probably some teachers out there that rather than barking orders, get that, do that, they'll say, can you help me? Can you grab those chairs for me? And most of the time, people are a lot more willing to do those things if they're asked rather than told. Same thing when you're directing actors on stage. If you want somebody to do something, now obviously when you're telling somebody they're blocking, I need you to be here by this line, I need you to leave by this line, right? Things like that, entrances and exits and all those kinds of things. Sometimes you've got to be director, right? You've got to say, hey, this is where I need you to be by this point, but you got to be able to explain it to the actor should they not understand. If you say to somebody, I need you at this spot by this point, and the actor says, well, I don't necessarily feel like my character would go there. Can you help me? Can you help me understand? Well, your job as the director is to know why it is you're doing that. Now, sometimes it isn't the script that you need them to get down for. Let's say you have somebody that's helping you do lights on stage, and they're going to have special effects happen in certain areas. Well, the effect will only work if the person is standing where they need to stand. So it's okay to say, we are going to set up a very visual experience with lights, and if you're not standing at this point by that line, the effect won't work, right? So that's an easy way to explain to an actor why you need them to go to those places. Typically, that'll be with your bigger shows, your bigger musicals, where you would have those kinds of effects and specific things. If you're doing a straight play, meaning no music, nobody's singing on stage, a lot of times you can give a little bit more of flexibility to your actors as far as where they go on stage. You don't have to be quite so staunch about you have to be here and be there and be there because you have a little bit more freedom and there's less technical aspects typically happening that won't constrain the actors. So you have a little bit more freedom there. So keep that in mind. But again, I'm going to reiterate, the triangle is a really great way of making sure that you don't have too many people on one side. You're able to spread things out and really make it make sense as to who's near each other and why, right? Because again, we got to justify the script, okay? The other thing is, when you are writing and creating, sorry, I have the little notes over here. When you are writing and creating something, you need to think to yourself, what is the theme of the thing that I am writing about or that I'm directing? What is the overall theme? Maybe somebody writes a show and they write a play about crows eating corn in a field. But the theme of the camp is like, love train or something, right? The theme is something completely different. Well, you as the director have to find a way to make it all make sense. So if you're watching this and your camp has a particular theme as to the stories that you're telling, that's kind of a challenge and a fun challenge for you to make sure that not only are you justifying the script, but you're able to explain the theme that's going on. Maybe you're doing a bunch of little projects and they all have a certain theme. You want to work it in, right? It's your way as a director to find yourself giving a little wink to the audience by making sure that theme is in there. And don't make it too on the nose, meaning, if Love Train is your theme of your camp, but your play is about crows, they don't necessarily have to make a love train, they don't have to do all of that. You just have to find a way to make it justified, right? And I think that you are all probably very creative people who will be able to do that with no problem. The other thing that I highly recommend, this is my biggest tip, especially when you're creating things on your own, when the script is new. Does your work meaning the whole show, if you're the director, it does the whole show on stage, actors, the technicians, everybody that's involved, do they reflect who you are or who you want to be? Okay? Even if you are directing a show and there is a villain, right? A terrible person inside your play who obviously isn't like any of you, you still have to find a way to justify to yourself, into your soul, your being as an artist, is the work that I'm creating representing me in the way I wish to be represented? Meaning, later in life, when people go back and look at my work, on it's been filmed or whatnot, how are they going to think about me, the person, right? Because everything that you do and say in life, especially in this world of phones, everybody's recording everything and sharing it on Instagram and TikToks and, the Twitters and what have you. That means that it's going to stay around for forever. And I don't say that to panic you. I'm sure that somebody out there in the audience is thinking, oh my gosh, forever. Don't think of it like that. I mean, it's still living art that we experience, in live time. But, we're in the middle of COVID here. And so one of the things that most people have turned to is their television, right? I mean, we always watched TV, but now there's a lot more TV being watched. Which means that all those things that are on television, they're around forever, right? They've been put online. They've been put, in your computers. You can always go back and recall them. So my question to you, the artist, is when you're done, when your show is ready to be, shown and the story is ready to be told, does it reflect who you are, or does it reflect where you wish to be, right? If you look at the show and it seems to remind you of things that are maybe not great, even though you're justifying it with the script, you might have to ask yourself as a person, is that really what I want to be and how I want to live my life? If the answer is no, and what it is you want to be somebody that, is positive and people want to be near them and, want to include them in things, then you might have some changes to make inside. Right? Sometimes we direct things and, it doesn't reflect who we are in the sense that these characters are evil, but I'm telling that story. But it might point out things in our own person that make us think to ourselves, I got to change that because, that person was doing that and I directed him to do that because it made sense. But now that I look at it, I might do some of those things. And then we got to make that change, right? Because the whole point is to make the world better. Because again, it's still not about you, right? If you see something and you think, I'm going to make a change for the better, you're changing so that you're better for other people, right? If you were just home alone and, never went outside, never did anything, well, who are you changing for, right? You're changing for yourself, but I mean, would you really have the energy to do that? No. We have the energy to change for other people, right? And I'm not asking you to go out and change for somebody else. What I'm saying is, if you make it about the other person and care about their needs and their wants over yourself, then you will do things for them. You will change as a person to help them, achieve better things. And if they do the same for you, then you're both changing for the better and helping each other get there. Same thing when you're directing a play. If everybody is growing and changing because of the script and helping each other and getting, better as people, then the whole project will go for it. And that's when you have the magic moment. All right? Every director, every actor, everybody who's ever worked in arts wishes that they were a part of the magic moment of a cast. And what that moment is the moment when you can look at every person in the room. You can get in a circle and look at every single person in your project and know that you trust them, that they trust you, that you have their back and they have yours. Because the moment that there is that level of trust and a peace, it's already going to be good. It's already going to be good because you're going to watch it get better and better and better because you trust each other, right? If the director is trusted by the cast, then the director can say, hey, can you make those changes? And nobody's going to think they're being mean because they trust you, right? If you're standing on a ladder and I say to you, hey, watch out, something's coming your way, are you mad at me if something's flying by and you are able to avoid it? No, because you don't want to fall. And then we've established trust. You know that I'm looking out for you. Well, the same thing. You, the director, have to make sure that nobody on your stage looks bad. You want to make sure that every single person feels secure, feels confident, and looks the best that you can help them to look. Because again, the director, it may not be about you, but you have a very big responsibility. And you have to use that responsibility wisely, and you have to really own that responsibility. The director is the mama, is the father, of the whole project. And when somebody's not doing well and somebody's not succeeding, it's up to you, the director, to figure out how to help them. Okay? I hope this has been helpful. I hope that you guys have gotten a lot, and I might do some more videos, who knows? But either way, tell the stories. Make sure that you always go back to the script. Remember those triangles and pick a really good team to work with. And that way, you guys have the best time. Because the more people that you have with you that you love, the less it feels like work. And the more it kind of feels magical. Peace out, you guys. And I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.